Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It's Monday. Up and at 'em, guys and gals. Today's the beginning of the grind, right? So, what are we talking about today? Well, I thought today we would talk, since I didn't do the Sunday sermon yesterday. I know you guys are all applauding. Thank God. But that in combination of where we focus, a lot of times is where and how our day ends. I know I got you scratching your head, so stay tuned. Alrighty, welcome back to the channel. My name is Eric, and yes, this is the weekday, Monday through Friday. Today is Monday, June 16th of 2025. So, what are we talking about? How can you combine the Sunday sermon with a business weekday talk? Pretty simple. With me, and I'm not a Bible pumping preaching, that's to each their own, right? You find your own way. But I find that with me, everything has a relationship to God in one way or another. And that is how we tend to focus, where we tend to focus, and what our usual outcomes are. So, where do we start there? Let's start with you're not going to please all your customers all the time. You're not. You're going to have a customer at times that's not happy. And if you decide to focus your whole time on how that customer is not happy, instead of the 9 customers that came before them that were thrilled, don't you have your focus in the wrong place? I mean, if you're focused on that one, then you must be a perfectionist. That you must think that you can get 10 out of 10 every time. And the only one that I know that could do that is Jason. You, Jason, because you can walk on water. And I saw that comment. No, you're not going to please everybody all the time. And if that's the mentality that you go at of trying to be a people pleaser, you're going to have a very rough life, a miserable life, because you don't have any control over their emotions. Now, if it's something that you've done, like you didn't call the customer when the machine started getting up close to halfway, or you had to order an expensive part, then those are things that you can look at to change how you go about things. But if you've been watching my videos very long, I'm the one preaching on the top of the mountain. Keep your customer involved if the prices start going up. It's not about the shop and making money. If you focus on just your shop and how much money you need to have coming in, the tendency to give good customer service is going to flounder terrible. And what ends up happening is you put that going out of business sign in the window because you've lost all your customers, because you've chose yourself and the business over delivering quality customer service. Now, does that mean that you have to kiss everybody's feet? No, not at all. But what it does say is that you need to have good quality work that's going out. You need to develop relationships with your customers. You need to keep them informed at the level they want to be informed at. Some people don't want to know. It's just fix it. And if it's not worth fixing, I trust you. And I've said more than once, this has been my motto ever since I started the repair shop. And I've always treated everybody's customer, everybody's machine as if it was my own. Would I be willing to do the repairs on it? And if so, my yay or nay meter is yes. Because my bar isn't set too high to where I feel I would want to be informed, or at least asked, do you want to continue? And then it's not on you, it's on your customer and you should be giving them the best advice. At least the best advice you know of. The ones that tend to think about just solely themselves, this is the normal train, is money is the almighty, and getting it over on somebody else is usually involved. And the mentality of it is what it is doesn't apply unless you've decided that you don't need customers. I've heard that at so many shops from shop owners when they figure up the bill. They figure up how many hours that mechanic spent working on that machine, only to find out that it was something simple and that mechanic overlooked. Now, you as a shop owner can bill them 5 hours for something that mechanic should have spotted right off, or you can chalk it up to the business as a learning lesson and take the hit. And when I say take the hit, if you're a sole proprietor, you're going to get hit. If you're, an owner and you have employees, you're going to take the hit, not your employee. And that's one thing that kind of has bothered me over the years at times, is when we have to take the hit for the shop and it's out of my pocket. It always bugged me that the mechanic still got paid either way, and that's why their mentality is it is what it is, because it's not affecting their bottom dollar. And you need to make some choices in a hurry if you have a mechanic like that, and that is either they need to change their attitude and do quality work. It's all right to miss something once in a while, all right? We all learn. Nobody's perfect. But if you find an employee making more than one mistake on a regular basis, and it's the same mistake, and it's costing you the business money, as much as you like this person, this is why I always say never hire family and friends, because you're going to have to get rid of them. If they're not willing to change and do what's best for the shop and the customer, get rid of them. You don't need that going on in your business. There's too many people out there that would love that job. There is. Or it might be a great time, like you, Jason, if you had somebody working with you, you could mentor somebody to do it the way you want them to do it. It doesn't have to be a highly skilled individual if you're already mechanically inclined. Are things going to progress slower in the beginning? Absolutely. But that's how we learn, right? And what better way to learn than be with a mentor that knows what the hell they're talking about? But going back to having customers have a bad day and making it our bad day. If you had 10 customers that day and 9 were thrilled and you had the one that wasn't, why are we focusing on the one that wasn't? Well, it's because we failed somewhere. Not necessarily. See, people bring problems to everything that they have. If they're having a bad day before they get to you, it's probably going to carry over. And I would say probably 90% or more, when I see a customer having a bad day, and if they have words or whatever, and never elevate the conversation. And what do I mean by that? I mean, if you got a customer upset and they're starting to raise their voice, don't raise your voice with them. Stay calm, stay cool, collective. It is what it is. And let them get whatever it is off their chest. Listen. And then once they've let it off, then the dialogue can take place. But you got to let the person get it off their chest. And what I found is most of the times those customers will come back at a later date and say, I'm really sorry for the way I acted. I was just having a rough day at home. The kids were driving me nuts, or the wife, or what have you. Had nothing to do with your service. It was just one more nail in the coffin. So you got it. Double buckshot. But what I'm trying to get across to you is don't change your focus so that the rest of the day you're sitting there focused on that one customer and how bad the conversation went. And see, the conversation isn't going to go super bad if you don't elevate and you just stay calm. And you listen, let them get it out, and then start a dialogue with them. But don't try to start a dialogue with them by raising your voice and trying to compete with them. And next thing you know, it's a shouting match. I've seen that in shops. That should never happen. Never. I try to listen and hear out my customer. Sometimes they just need to get things off their chest. But that's, with me, God isn't going to choose where I'm going to focus. He put us here on earth so that we can see and feel the good and the bad. He doesn't say that you need to focus on the bad every waking hour. Nor does he say that you're going to focus on the good every waking hour. Our mind is just not wired that way, right? But I've seen people have grudges and hatred towards others that could care less if they even existed. Or I've seen people that had the same grudges and stuff against somebody else, and the other person was clueless. And what I find is if you're that type of person, here you spent all this time being pissed at somebody else that doesn't even know what you're pissed off at and is off enjoying their day. So the only one having a bad day is you, because you chose to focus there instead of focusing on the positive things going on. We do need to focus on the negative at times so that we can correct any actions that we feel necessary. But every negative reaction is a learning lesson. But it's not forcing you to choose to focus just on that during the day. You've got 9 other customers that are thrilled that you got their POSs working again and mowing, and they're thrilled. But going back to, I will not put a dime more into somebody's machine than I would my own. And I've always had the mantra in my head of do unto others as you would hope they would do unto you. Not as they would do unto you, as what you would hope they would do unto you. How do you want to be treated? Do you want to be talked down to? Disrespected? You get to choose. I know with me, I don't. I don't like people that are disrespectful. I don't like people that talk down to me. Because my thought, maybe I'm off in left field, but my thought is we all put our pants on the same way. And what does that mean? It means we're all here. And there's nobody better than me, but there's nobody worse off than me. I'm not in a race to be better than everybody else. I am in a race to make myself better than I was the day before, and I always compete with myself, not others. And if that's the only thing you hear today, you will excel. Because the other line of logic that I use is if you're competing with somebody else, the other person may be mediocre, and if you're better than they are, maybe you're still mediocre. And my niece found that out the hard way. She grew up in a larger high school on Long Island. And she was phenomenal. She was tops at that school with trumpet playing, okay? And she got a scholarship to come up here to Potsdam, to Crane School of Music. And what happened? She went from the best of the best to mediocre at best. And she wasn't used to that. She felt let down. Because now Instead of being compared to everybody else at her school, now she's being compared to top kids from high schools all around the states. And where she was tops, she now became mediocre. And sadly, she decided instead of trying to get better, she changed her direction and what now she's an attorney. Gotta love her. But that's what I'm saying, if you're competing with other people to hold you up and make you feel like you've accomplished things, you need to stop. You need to compete with yourself to be better than yourself every day. And that way you will exceed and be the best that you can be at whatever you want to do. Does that mean you're going to be top of the top trumpet player? No. If you don't care about playing the trumpet, I got news for you. There ain't no sense in even picking it up. Because you may sound like me, a wounded animal. But that's where the line in the sand is you get to choose. You get to choose how you want to act and react. And the other thing that I try to get across to people is you need quiet time. And what do I mean by quiet time? I walk every morning. And I walk just under 2 miles. And it takes me about 50 minutes, 60 minutes. I walk so far and I stop. Let my legs catch up. Walk so far and stop. But I don't give up. I just keep pushing farther so that every time I walk, I'm further on my first stop, right? Because I'm competing with myself. Well, the benefits of what I found, not only for physical endurance and building my body up, is it gives me time to think, reflect, plan, and decide what's most important in my life. And I can tell you, the things that are most important things in my life are the relationships I have. The relationships that I have with you guys and with the people that are around me. It's not money. It's not material things. My daughter asked me, because I got a fairly new truck. It's a 2024 2500 Dodge Ram. She said, "You must be excited." Not really. Well, why not? It's a truck. She goes, "I know, but it's a new truck, Dad." It's a truck. I've had a lot of trucks. Is it a nice truck? Yes. All I care about is that it gets me from point A to point B. Because my last truck, I was waiting for it to leave me on the side of the road. But I don't have that where I am doing the happy dance because I have the truck. It's a means to get me where I need to be, right? But my life is not that truck. My life is my daughter sending me pictures of my granddaughter that's just turning 5, wearing shoes and running out through the yard bare ass naked. I asked my daughter, I said, "Does she ever have any clothes on?" She goes, "Yeah, she has her shoes on." It's the relationships that I have with the people that are around me. And even the relationships at work that I have with my customers. I've had a lot of people in business tell me, "Oh, you're doing it all wrong, Eric. You're getting too involved with the customer. And you're going to hear their sad sack story." Okay. We all have them. And if I'm the one that person can connect with, that's great. That's great. Because they haven't been able to connect with anybody else just to hear them. I don't know how many times I've had people tell me all about their lives and say, "I just wish one person could understand." One person. And I'll be honest with you, usually that one person is me. Because there are times when I just feel like nobody understands me. I'm complicated. I know. More complicated than you think, right, Amos? But I am. I'm complicated. But yet, I'm not alone. A lot of people have the same thoughts and feelings that I have. It's where we get to choose to focus, right? So, if you take anything away from this, it's deciding this morning of where you're going to focus. If you've been holding grudges and stuff like that, I'm not saying to forgive them and move on in person. I'm just saying forgive them so that you can forgive yourself. You don't need to say squat to them, but just forgive them inside. That's forgiving yourself for spending too much time on crapola, and it releases you so that you can enjoy life. If people are pissing you off, find out why. And I've always learned that it's better to say something, to say what your needs are. Because the other person, what's the worst thing they can say is no, right? But if I feel somebody is treading on me, I speak up. And so must you. You need to speak up. And you need to sometimes lay the law down of how you expect to be treated and the way you treat others. So on that note, you guys have a great Monday. Put in the comments your thoughts and feelings on today. I know I'm not alone in this. In the end, it's where you decide to focus. God's not going to choose it for you. So you guys have a great Monday.